Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, Atlanta. Good morning, Southeast. Good morning, East Coast. Good morning, those of you who join us here in the live studio of the Daily Huddle. We are honored and we're privileged to have you in the morning. Thank you for being part of the family every morning at 9 in the morning. Thank you, Andrea. Super Andrea. We love Andrea. Bruce, thank you, Bruce. Joanne, Tyrone, Lorna, Rochelle, James, Jacqueline, thank you all of you for being here. We say here that the way you start your day gives you the rest of your day, and it just creates an opportunity for us to focus on what happens in the morning. And there's just a few questions that we want to kind of engage, and there's a way to be fun about it, but there's also the depthness of the opportunity of the following questions, right? My name is Giovanni Gonzalez. Sorrel, how are you?
I am just the way I say I am, Giovanni.
Just the way you say you are. And Andrea, where are you?
I am right where I need to be.
Exactly. And Jacqueline, what time is it?
The time is now.
It's now, right? Very good. And Bruce, what day is today?
Today is the day.
Exactly. Just the power of right now gives you the rest of your life, right? I get to introduce every morning America's executive coach, someone who's profoundly committed to the life of many and who's doing that to the CEOs of our country and to us every morning, and is going to lead, acts as the leader within. He's just a human being who's committed to the transformation of humanity. And we get to have him every morning at the Daily Huddle. Good morning, Sorrel. How are you?
Good morning, Giovanni. And I'm starting to think it's the other way around, right? I get to have all of you every morning. And that is such a privilege. And such a privilege to be introduced by the #1 transformational leadership coach, Giovanni, my co-host and my partner, and causing something in the world that wasn't just going to happen anyway. So, Giovanni, thank you. I have the pleasure this morning of introducing our expert guest, sinking his teeth into this question. Do you believe you're truly walking in your purpose? I'll repeat the question. Do you believe you're truly walking in your purpose? Well, Aaron Paxton Arnold has been doing just that. He says in his own words, I've had a blessed career, which I describe as an integrated journey of professional, social, and entrepreneurial experiences. My background in public relations, journalism, music, and entertainment technology, and brand management allows me to provide a diverse expertise that people have found valuable. And I trust you, the audience, will find that valuable this morning. Whether you're watching here in the live studio audience or watching on Facebook from Haiti or Africa, wherever you are, Aaron has spoken everywhere from Harvard to Capitol Hill on business, entrepreneurship, purpose, etc. Most recently, on December 4th, 2019, Aaron spoke at Brigham Young University in Utah on faith and God, a Black man's perspective. In addition, Aaron has been recognized for meshing the important areas of entrepreneurship, music, social responsibility, and corporate America, educating, inspiring, entertaining kids and young seasoned professionals alike. This morning, Aaron is all yours. Aaron, good morning, and thank you for being here. We're delighted to have you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the introduction. Every time I'm introduced, it's one, it's just a reminder how blessed and favored I've been, but also it feels very weird to just hear somebody talking about myself. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And you know, thank you for being a rock star.
Thank you. I appreciate it again. And you guys are full of compliments this morning. I need to hire you guys.
So for the next 12 minutes or so, you get to speak on the question you pose.
Right.
Do
So
you believe you're truly walking in your purpose? You may ask us to interact, but
yeah.
sometime around 9:20, you'll hear me say, you know, we could talk about this until the cows come home.
Okay.
That'll be
All
your cue to wrap it up.
right. Well, whenever I speak, I'm always about engagement. I usually talk for a couple of minutes and I engage the audience. And so that statement or question, and I'm curious to what anybody would say, is like I realized probably about 10 years ago when I was working in the music space that just because I was actually good at something and successful at something, but I still was not walking in my purpose. And it was kind of it was an eye opener for me because coming out of college, you know uh, the narrative is always pushed to students, and that's why I love going to speak at universities, because I try to kind of dispel that narrative is that you graduate, you get your degree, and this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You have the American dream. I know at the time it was the 2.5 kids, or however that works. And so I just remember coming out of school and I went to work at two global PR firms in Chicago, Edelman and Ketchum. And then I moved to New York where I worked for Hill and Knowlton and another global PR agency. And I was 25 at the time and I was making good money, and I realized that I was not happy. And I was always taught, at least at the collegiate level, again, the perception was that the more money you make, the more happiness you will have. And and I learned a valuable lesson young that is not true. So then I had to figure out what my purpose would be. And it had nothing to do with money. It had to do with what was in my heart and my soul. And so I ended up taking an unpaid internship with Bad Boy Records in New York for 6 months. And then I matriculated to work for Sean Combs for another 12 months as an unpaid assistant. And simply, the only reason I did it unpaid is just simply because no one would hire me, because I had no experience in the music business and everybody wanted to be in the music business. So, I made the sacrifice that many had made. And, at 25, I started all over again. And so I think when you're searching for your purpose, you oftentimes have to be willing to start over. One of my favorite books is From Good to Great by Jim Collins. And I love how, and I might be messing it up, but there's a quote that starts off the first chapter, and it basically says that an unsatisfied death is a life in which one does not take chances. And so that really spoke to me, because then it goes on to say that most people are content with good schools, good churches, good jobs, but very few of us are willing to risk all that is good to have everything that is great. So great schools, great churches, great jobs, great relationships, etc. And that book really spoke to me, because my whole life, not to say that I'm great or even I've done anything great, but my whole career life post 21, all I've wanted to do was be a part of something great, or create something great as well. And so in order to do that, I believe you have to take the necessary risk, and there's never a perfect time to take a great opportunity. And so, yeah, I worked for 18 months for free in New York. By the grace of God, I was not homeless. I probably had the only landlords in the city that were willing to allow me to go 2 to 3 months behind on my rent, because they believed in what I was doing. And, it just always worked out. And, I tell my daughter as well as others, I believe if you are, there's one thing to be passionate, and there's another thing to be committed. Like I tell my daughter, like a lot of boys will be passionate about you, but very few will be committed. She's on her way to college in 2 weeks, so I hope she remembers that lesson. But so I think you have to have commitment, and I think commitment stems from faith. And for me, my faith is just my unwavering belief in myself, but also knowing that God has always had a plan for me, no matter how challenging things may get. That I will always be okay. Like there are times when I was about to be homeless and kicked out my place when I was in New York, and in the 24th hour, a check came from somewhere that allowed me to pay my rent, not only for that month, but for months to come. And so I've always believed that that faith and commitment and walking in your purpose, when you're doing that, the universe just conspires to work in your favor. But I also believe that, for me, as I've gotten older, my purpose has changed. When I was in my 20s, my purpose was just really about building my company and succeeding in the music business. And then I had an opportunity to go speak at a at-risk school here in Atlanta to fifth graders, all kids of color. And I asked them what they want to be when they grew up. And they all said, unfortunately, for at least to me, all said they want to be rappers or athletes. And I realized that because a lot of those kids in the classroom, the only positive images, in particular of African American men, that they had seen were of rappers or athletes or actually drug dealers or something of that nature. And so here I am about to speak to these kids about the music business, and I just couldn't and I wouldn't, because I didn't want to continue to perpetuate the stereotype that here's another, successful Black man standing in front of them and I work in the music business. So I ended up talking to them about purpose. I ended up talking to them about entrepreneurship and foundation and, just topics that I had generally never spoken about before. And it was such a kind of an eye-opening experience for me that I realized at 28 that I was no longer walking in my purpose. And so I had to figure it out again. I had to start over again. And I truly had to listen to myself. And as my mentor said, he's like, you really have to listen to what God has in store for you. And I began to realize that what my purpose was what I was doing in front of those kids. And so I started over again. I began to really focus on myself and my own brand. I really started focusing on speaking, working with kids, not just, young kids, but also, collegiate students and young professionals and seasoned professionals, because I believe that most of us have the tools to succeed, especially in this day and age with all the technology at our fingertips. But I feel like it's one thing to have the tools to succeed, but it's another thing to have the courage to push and use those tools to walk in your purpose and do what you've been put on this earth to do. And so I went back to kind of my journalism roots, and I started contributing and writing for CNN and MSNBC on social political issues. I was blessed enough to join a radio show here in Atlanta, and then got put on the morning show. And so that was kind of like the third part of my career, or second part of my career, depending how you want to break it down. And so now I am here again at a crossroads, with 2020 being just, let's just say, the most weirdest year that I've experienced, that I've seen in my lifetime. But for those of us that are blessed enough to be here and be living, one, that is just like a huge blessing in itself. So everything else to me becomes frivolous at that point. But a lot of things that I had planned in 2020 were just canceled, professionally. And so I had to figure it out. But what it's giving me time to do is giving me time to write. And one of the goals that I had on my list at the beginning of the year was I want to have a script written so that I can start pitching it next year. And hopefully the goal is by the end of 2021 to have a show on television. So I would not have the time to do that if this had not happened. And so, it's just about pivoting. I wrote an article for Forbes. It's called My 90-Day Rule, knowing when to pivot. And actually, honestly, it stemmed from a relationship that I was in, but I turned it into a business concept where, like, if you're miserable or ineffective for 90 days straight with no breaks, that on day 91, you have to walk away. And I believe that one of the greatest assets that we have as human beings is having the ability to say no and walk away. I was always taught, when it comes to negotiation, that the greatest thing that we have is the ability to say no. Now, a lot of us are afraid to say no because you don't want to lose that deal, or you're afraid of what's around the corner. But a lot of times saying no is opening up your door for greater opportunities that you would have never seen if you say yes. And I've always said faith is when you turn down a check or opportunity knowing that you needed to pay bills, but you believe in yourself so much and you just understand that check is not going to, or that opportunity is not going to take you down the path long-term that you need to be taken down. And so that's what I meant by that question as far as purpose is concerned. It's a simple question, but sometimes the answers that we get, if we truly listen to ourselves, is not always the most convenient answer. But when it comes to success and happiness, nothing about it is convenient. I believe that it's very easy to be miserable. It takes a lot of work to be happy, because there's so many external factors that are thrown against you and other people that are miserable. I mean, that's when I truly begin to understand that misery loves company. I know a lot of miserable people that like to gravitate towards other miserable people, and they're like vampires or something. They want to bite you so that you can too become miserable. And I refuse to become miserable. Darwin said that necessity is the mother of invention. So for me personally, I just have the necessity to be happy. And that's what's kind of taking me down my path, and for me walking in my purpose. And every day I pray that I do something that inspires, educates, and entertains somebody that will help change somebody's life, whether it be today or something I create will help somebody tomorrow. And that's what I meant to that. So I would be curious to you esteemed people on this panel that like, one, what do you think about that? I mean, have you had similar journeys in your life that reflected that? And are you walking in your purpose now?
Hey, Aaron, thank you for being here. And it's, as I hear your life story, I am showered by how intentional you are in your life. You know, you're an intentional human being, and in my eyes, what I would say you enjoy or get to experience success and fire, and I would imagine within that fire and success, then there is the lows, and then coming back up, right?
Absolutely.
And all of that. And
Absolutely.
so, but I hear some things that I'm really like interested to dive in a little more, right? And it's too bad we don't have the whole hour, right, to dive in more. But what I wanted to ask was, so you're writing for CNN, you have wrote for Forbes, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
then there is a show that you want to create at the end of the year, or maybe at the end of the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but you're also, one of the things that I hear you're passionate about is this aspect of inspiring through education and entertainment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so how are you connecting it all, and what is your show going to be about?
Well, the show is, I'm like any other artist because I'm still creating it. So I can't and won't talk about it because I'm very insecure about it right now. And the reason why I say that, because this is something new. I've been writing my whole life, professionally, as well as just just for fun. But this is, I believe when God wants you to grow, God makes you uncomfortable. So me writing is especially a show, is a very uncomfortable experience. Like, I have been stuck on 5 pages and rewrites for like 2-3 months, and I keep rewriting, and I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but I'm so insecure about this process, and I finally kind of got over the hump last night, actually, which I'm happy about. So as soon as I get off this call, I'm going to start writing again while I still have the energy. So yeah, I just can't divulge that right now, but God willing, you guys will know about it, because I'll do what I'm supposed to do, and somebody will like it. I have a lot of connections, and it'll be a show that's produced next year. But as far as the other question, I feel like I have not lived long enough to have earned or deserved the blessings that I've received. And so I have this fear that if I don't help people, even as I continue to grow, God will take those blessings away from me. And that was just kind of what was instilled in me by my parents, who, thank God, are still living. They've been married for 49 years, and they are still some of my greatest mentors. And so it's just kind of embedded in me, because I mean, none of us get anywhere on our own. And so I've just been committed day one to just making sure that I help people, because people help me every day. And so whether it's, I had a partnership down the street here. I live in College Park, Georgia, with the College Park Elementary School, where I kind of switched up the strategy. Most of the time I went to schools, the focus, especially elementary or high schools, the focus would be the kids or the students. But I realized that our teachers, our educators are our greatest asset, because they are actually the first responders per se. And I realized that, just through having conversations with friends who are in education, that not only are they severely probably underpaid in a lot of cases, but just misrepresented, underrepresented. They are oftentimes not only just the teacher, but the counselor and the parent, using their own resources to help, kids, and then they have to deal with their kids as well. So my strategy has changed. I believe that, if we take care and focus our energies on our educators, our teachers, and our parents, then technically, in theory, you don't even have to worry about the students or the kids. I know if I'm sending my child to school, I want that teacher, that educator, or educators to be at their best, so that my child can receive what they need to receive, because the reality is our kids spend more time with others than they do at home. Well, maybe not now because of the current situation, but before COVID, that was the case. And so, for me, like when I'm talking to teachers, it's really just about sharing my story and being honest. And you mentioned lows. Like, I rarely talk about my successes because you could read about that somewhere online. But one of the things that I never got while I was in college or high school was like when people came to see us as students, no one really talked about their failures. So oftentimes as I've matriculated through my career, I would beat myself up because I felt like I was alone. I felt like there was something wrong with me, when in actuality, it's just the process. It's the process of wanting to venture out. It's the process of wanting to create. It's the process of wanting to just possibly be great. And when you have that ambition, you are going to fail. You're going to fail probably. If I have 10 times, I'll fail 9, but it's that one time that carries you over. Then you fail another 9, 8 or 9, but you get that one moment. And that's kind of just been my journey. But those 1 or 2 moments have been phenomenal for me. So it's just really, we're all in the business of telling stories. And for me, it's just about sharing my story. And then, adding some, professional tactics and weaving that within that. But again, I always tell people, like when I went to University of Florida to speak, I told the students, like, you're at University of Florida, you're paying a lot of money. So I'm not going to rehash what your teachers or professors are teaching you, but I'm going to tell you what they want or what they haven't and what's in store for you as you graduate. And it was received really well. And so for me, it's just about being very transparent about my journey. And just really sharing some of the things that probably weren't shared with me coming out of college. And then I just go from there. Like BYU was interesting because it was the first time I had visited a faith-based university to talk about faith in God from a Black man's perspective. And so to an audience that was predominantly white for the most part. So that was a really amazing experience. I was there for 4 days. But when it comes down to it, for me, I just truly believe in the entrepreneurial spirit. And it doesn't mean that you have to be an entrepreneur in the traditional sense. To me, entrepreneurship is about innovation. It's about, not settling. It's about whether you're changing your community or just your home or your neighborhood, your state, or even domestically, globally. It's about having a purpose that is greater than you by default or, as you mentioned, intentionally. And so I just try to walk away, or when I leave that room, I want people to feel that, one, that they're okay, that whatever they're going through, that there's nothing wrong with them, because there's not. But also understanding that you have to hang in there, that you're going to have to persevere through challenging times. But there's always light, at the end of the tunnel. You just got to keep digging and digging and digging. And it's never on your time. For me, I joke, it's every time I wanted something in this time frame, it generally never happened, but it was always been in God's timing, and God's timing was always better. So, even when I wake up in the morning, I just thank God that I woke up, and God willing, I have good health, because as long as I have time to do what I want to do in my life, then I'll be fine.
Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to get an opportunity to have, and thank you for sharing.
Oh, no, thank you.
Have an opportunity to have Rose. She has a question for you.
Rose, how are you doing?
Muted here.
I love your windows.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Oh my goodness. You're absolutely amazing. This is
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh my God. So it's what's going on over here is crazy, right? Because I've got like two tracks going on in my brain.
Okay.
So in one, I'm listening to what you're saying, kind of, sort of, but not really anymore, because I'm so lost in all the other thoughts that you've triggered.
Oh, wow. Good.
In what you've already said, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm an entrepreneur, and I work with small businesses, and I work with business processes, right? So that small businesses have effective business processes that anchor them, stabilize them, give them a platform for change, growth, or whatever. And I haven't been doing a lot of that, right? So I'm listening to your 90-day rule. It's like, oh, I really need to look, and I've been saying that to myself. Mm-hmm. But then as you're talking and you're saying, do you, right? Your story, what I heard you say is, and I've been one who keeps saying, am I fulfilling my purpose? Am I fulfilling my purpose? And I go, oh, I don't need to ask that question. The fact that I have the question is my answer. And I heard you say, your mess is your message. And that's the one I've been avoiding sharing.
Yeah.
And so I heard you say that this morning, which kind of excites and inspires me to look and see what's over there that's waiting.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, what excites me is the unknown, not the known. I remember when I got to my agency, my third agency in New York, and they pretty much had my whole career mapped out for me. And I was like, this is it. And I was like, that, God has to, I felt like at least I had in my mind, and God had a better vision for me. Like I just, that was just how I was built. I was like, there has to be more in the world. And a lot of that just came, one of the reasons I moved to New York, because it was about exploration. Like, you never really truly know what's out there until you expose yourself to it. And so, like, even I'm excited. My daughter starts a college in 2 or 3 weeks. And, I graduated from college. I don't believe you have to go to college to be successful. But for me, college was just about exploration, being able to meet people from all over the world and dabble in this and, this major, and take this internship and understand like, oh, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life, and just build and grow. And that's what I'm always about. Like, I have this mandate where, whether it's via LinkedIn or a platform like this, where I have to meet at least one new person a week that I perceive to be a game changer, somebody that moves the needle, someone that can inspire me, because through just exposure, you learn so many different things. And that's why I love working with kids in particular, because kids are just so honest, and they're so naive in a good way. They see the world as they see the world, and they want to change it. They want to be astronauts and athletes and all these other things. And so it reminds me that you never stop dreaming. I saw something the other day, and it talked about all these people whose careers really started to flourish at 40 to 45, all these amazingly successful people. And so,
Or 70.
70, listen, like my mom just retired and she's 70. And so we're talking about, like, she's going to teach, because she's an attorney. She's a senior public defender for Cook County in Chicago, and she's taking a break now. But then, after a while, once this hopefully COVID thing passes, it's going to be time for her to figure out, what to do next.
So Aaron,
Yes.
so does purpose evolve, or do we evolve until we achieve purpose?
I think, well, that's a great question. I think we evolve. For me, the things I cared about 10, 15 years ago, I don't care about anymore. And part of that was just because my daughter started to get older. So a lot of the things I was doing, I was like, I want to make sure that, my daughter is proud. And another thing is, I was just in such a cutthroat business. And, a lot of times I was just around unscrupulous people, that I was like, I want to be able to make it home to my daughter. And so, like, she just changed everything for me. How I move, just everything. And once she got older, and now that she's grown, it's just crazy. But so out of that, my purpose changed, because I just began to look at her. Like, one of the things that I'm becoming passionate about, I'm figuring out a way to become committed to this cause, is just gender equality or inequality for women. Because when my daughter was a freshman in high school, she played softball for 4 years, and I noticed the huge difference between the boys' baseball field, they were terrible, and the girls' softball field, which way they were good. And then I started to do research, and I saw, like, the discrepancy between women's soccer and men's U.S. soccer. Again, the men weren't that good. The women were amazing, but they were paid tremendously less than the men. And so, and that only recently changed, and because they had to fight, which is ridiculous. So I look at my daughter, who will enter the workforce in 5 years, and will she have the same opportunities as men, especially being a Black woman? Then that decreases a little less. And so, so I just think over time, and things that you're exposed to, and I honestly, I feel terrible, because I was just a typical guy until I just had that epiphany, and I looked at the softball field and baseball field, and I was like, wait a minute. And because my daughter was personally affected by it, it became something that was extremely important to me. And that to an extent, that's a shame, because if my daughter is a boy, I don't know if I have the same sensitivity that I have now. But that's why it's so important for us to be around different kinds of people and be exposed. Like, I've had so many people reach out to me in the last 2 to 3 months, asking me if I was okay, because of the Black Lives Matter resurgence and so forth. And my response to them was like, I've been dealing with this since I was in 4th grade. I am okay. I'm not okay. But hey, I guess it's never too late to have people come on to to a cause and be willing to aid and assist in what you need to do. Because I didn't really. Yes, sir.
We've got a couple of more questions.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
And I don't want, I want to make sure you hear them.
Yes,
This
sir.
is awesome. Rose, thank you for opening up that conversation. It was
Thank
just
you.
perfect.
Thank you.
I want to listen to it until the cows come home.
There it is. There it is.
Jacqueline, you had a question, and then Andrea has a question.
Yes.
First of all, Aaron, thank you very much for being here today. And, I just wanted to say that I was so busy working on so many things this morning. I went out for a walk, and then I came back in trying to get some things done because I have a 10 o'clock this morning. And so I wasn't going to be actually come on today. And I was just going to go on Facebook Live and everything. But I'm so happy that I'm actually live in the audience today to actually hear your message firsthand and to be able to, to say this, finding my purpose or repurposing myself. And my question is, sometimes I think that looking for signs or just seeing signs or actually noticing signs. And what is your take on just seeing certain signs, such as a woodpecker in a tree, a certain bug that you hadn't seen before, and looking that up to see what that means? Because to me, I feel as if that is a sign for me. And everyone doesn't see the same thing. Just recently, I saw the moon, which was maybe, I want to say a bright pink orange. But I asked other people if they saw it that night, and they were like, no, I didn't see that. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe that sign was just for me, and what does that mean? So my question to you real quick, I know we have to get off shortly, is what is your thought on seeing signs as an individual to purpose or repurpose where you are?
Yeah, I mean, I'm weird, so there's signs to me to come every day. I watch a lot of documentaries and movies just for kind of inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I feel like God speaks to me through my heart, and so every time I've gone against my instincts and my heart, I always find myself further back than if I had listened to myself
Right.
to begin with. And so I just truly believe that you have to follow your heart and trust your instincts. Those are the two things that no one can compromise because they're inside of you. It doesn't matter how smart or how not smart you are. We all have the ability to feel and believe and think and so forth. And I think it's cool because I always believe like if everybody sees the same thing you see, then you're probably not doing anything worthy. So the fact that you saw the moon and it was pink or whatever, then my first question is like, what's in your cup? But
No, nothing.
But right. But the second question, my honestly statement would be like, wow, that's amazing. Because that is what we all have different filters. And so you have to embrace your filter. And I think that is the hardest thing. I always say the most amazing and the most hardest thing at the same time is being yourself. Because society and so many other people are telling you, you have to be this, you have to be that. And the dangerous part about that is if you actually become what everybody else wants you to become and you have success with that, now your success is predicated off that every single day. And I've seen people commit suicide because of they were at some point wanted to be themselves, but the situation did not afford them the opportunity anymore because they had built a platform or a brand or made so much money in certain situations being someone else. And it literally killed them internally and spiritually to the point where they ended up killing themselves. So I think that's very cool.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I definitely appreciate it. It definitely means a great deal. I appreciate this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Andrea.
I'm going to make it quick. So thank you so much, everyone. Good morning. And thank you, Aaron. This was extremely inspirational. I'm like Rose and everyone commenting. This was a great discussion in the morning. So I wanted to address you in the question you posted to us when you finished at the beginning, if you're walking and you're leaving your purpose, and also maybe transcend it to a different kind of question. But to answer yours is, I finally can say that I'm leaving my purpose. I'm 43, but I'm leaving it officially. Actually, this year I took the time to write it down. I was leaving it unofficial. I was leaving it like my purpose in life is better myself and help others. And I've been doing that throughout my life, but I was doing it with a label. I was doing it when I was a mother. I was doing it when I was a worker. I was doing it but right now, for the first time, I've written down, I know what I want in life, but I'm just doing it for myself. So I don't think that your purpose in life maybe transitions, but what you do is what you do with it and what you embrace it. That's, I just wanted to address your question.
No, absolutely. I think the key of writing it down is so important. Like, I'm not a vision board person where I cut out a bunch of pictures, but I do go through the exercise where I write things down and I put them away. And then I'll go back and look at them 6 months, like even some, in one case, 2 years later. And it was so amazing how I forgot that I wrote those things down.
Exactly. And that was going to be, so that was going to be my little question. And I know we're running out of time, is if you find that writing or putting something, making it tangible helps you leave your purpose. That was it.
I believe words have power. I believe what you think and what you put out there, you put it in the universe, in some form or fashion, depending on if you believe in that, will conspire to work for you. And that's why it's cool. I'll write something down and I'll like lock it up in a box or something like that. And I won't look at it for a while. And then I'll go back and look and like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this has happened because I actually forgot about it. But the purpose and your intent was so genuine that's why it happened.
Exactly.
And my purpose will continue to evolve, God willing, because hopefully I will continue to evolve. So
thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. Thank you.
Aaron.
Yes, sir.
No one's going to ask it, but there's a burning question.
Yes.
In the air, and it is this.
Okay.
You have a daughter in college?
Yes,
Not
sir.
kidding me.
I'm 42 years old. I have an 18-year-old daughter who I'm taking to college in 2 weeks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's crazy.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to kick it over to Giovanni to give you your last words and make a couple of announcements, but I want to share with you what I'm taking away this morning.
Okay.
And I thank you for it. Thank you for your generosity. I'm taking away that I don't find my purpose. Purpose finds me. And then it's up to me to say yes to purpose. And in that space, I have a choice. It's easy to be miserable, like you said.
Yes.
And it takes work to be happy.
Yes.
And I'm leaving this morning with this revelation for myself. To be happy is to be living my purpose. And it's not a purpose that I define, it's the purpose that finds me. Then for me to live in my purpose, I then must surrender to the purpose. Like how we start the day every day, right?
Yes,
where am I? I am right where I need to be. And what's my purpose? My purpose is exactly what it is. And it is up to me to honor that and live by that. I choose to be happy because I surrender to my purpose. That's what I'm leaving with. Thank you for that.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Giovanni. Take
yes. Aaron, thank you so much. You took us to a journey for sure of your life, your brain. You have been generous, you have been authentic, you have been naked with us. Like we've been everywhere, right? Through purpose, happiness, sadness, choice. Thank you. I would have loved to engage in actually a discussion. I see life differently, yet so similarly. I do love, I see what I mean by that, I see happiness and purpose different. Okay. But we'll invite you again and we'll create a discussion.
Yeah, I would love to hear more. Absolutely.
And we're going to drink what Jacqueline was drinking when she started.
That's funny.
It's nothing.
I love, we're all in the business of telling stories.
Yes, sir.
And it was great. Thank you, Aaron, so much for that. So what are the announcements? So on Friday, we'll be doing our 100th episode, Aaron, and you're welcome to come, and we'd love for you to come and showering you with appreciation for being one of our guest speakers. And for all of you who are here at the live studio, we would love to have you also on Friday so we can have an acknowledgement of the 100th episode. Facebook said, I exported the stats on Facebook, and it says that we have touched, however it is, over 100,000 people in the next 5 months. And it doesn't mean they engage or anything, but Facebook likes to make you feel good. So they say, right. So we would love to have all of you on Friday so we can celebrate what the opportunity of the Daily Huddle. It's not Sorel's conversation or Gio's conversation. It's our conversation in the morning. And for those who are asking about our leadership course at the end of the month, I left the link on the chat, accesstheleaderwithin.com. And then tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about the life journey of your prospects with you. So I love you. Aaron, what is your last word?
Just be thankful. That's what 2020 is about for me, is being thankful and appreciative of the small things.
Awesome, Aaron. Everybody have a phenomenal day. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Thank you. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Aaron.
All right, thank you.
Sorrel, Giovanni, thank you all. Have a great day.
All right, Jacqueline. See you tomorrow.